Alright, welcome to the first piece of non-gaming or stream-related content that I've ever posted to my channel since, like, 2014. I feel old. Well, what do you do when you have a friend that you've known for about 7 years, but you've never spent a birthday with them? You go and spend their birthday with them, even if they live goddamn on the other coast. Well, that's what I did a couple weeks ago. My friend Natalie was gracious enough to spend her miles on me to fly me out to San Diego so I can spend a week there and party with her and her roommate and her friends out on the West Coast. And me being the amateur photographer I am, I decided, hey, why don't I bring some cameras, some film cameras, and shoot some shit? And shit did I shot. No, wait, that doesn't sound good. Well, what cameras did I bring? Glad you asked. I brought my Pentax K1000, my Mamiya 645 1000S, and a new camera to my collection, an Olympus XA2, which is actually the second I bought because the first one didn't work. Well, it kind of worked, but these were some of the results. So I got in a couple last-minute cuddles with my son Hamilton, and I jetted off to the airport. See you, bud. The ride to the airport was alright. I took a Lyft because my parents didn't want to drive me. Fair play. In terms of catching flights, I'm like a parent, where they tell you you need to get to the airport like 3 hours early. I like to chill out in the terminal before I board my plane and fly out. One problem though, it was storming over Newark, so every flight kind of got delayed. And delayed. And delayed. And delayed. And delayed. Until, well, my flight actually got canceled. They waited 5 hours to cancel the flight. So I'm staying in the airport tonight. You'll have to see it. The next flight is at 6:30, so it's currently like 12:30, 12:40 right now, so I got some time to kill. So I guess this is a let's take photos in the airport video now. You'll have to see it. Fun times. Fun times. So I popped a roll of HP5 Plus into my Pentax K1000. I set the ISO to 800 so I could push it while I was developing it, and I wandered around the airport for a bit. And, well, the results weren't that good. I don't know, I always seem to push HP5 Plus whenever I shoot it. I always either decide to push it one stop, or I just start shooting it at 400, and then I'm like, nah, screw it. Let's push it so I can take low light photos. The results are kind of meh, and a friend that's a photographer that I look up to a lot told me she has beef with the grain I produce. Whatever that means. I do like this photo of the window in the row I was sitting in, looking out into, I guess that's one of like the carts that drive around the airport. Looks cool. And then I kind of like this shot of a man just up and walking. I think this is when we were being told we had to deboard again. We sat on this plane long enough for me to watch James Bond, No Time to Die. So I went to that area in Terminal C in Newark where it's like a bazaar.
And this one's definitely my favorite picture of the bunch, this picture of Tsukiji Fish Room. I really like how the light illuminates everything in this photo, and I think it's just really nice.
Try to take 2 more photos of some food places in the same bazaar area, and, you know, they're alright. Shout out to Breakfast Bowley, though, and Poppy's Bagels. And this is a picture of the line for customer service, for people to either rebook their flights or get a refund, because basically every flight in this airport on that night got delayed, and it was really up to the customers if they wanted to stick through it, wait for the next flight, or just go home and get a refund. I ended up getting a seat on the next flight, and that was at 6 a.m., as I've said. And yeah, that was at a different gate, so I had to walk all the way across Terminal C to another part of the terminal where there was this kind of restaurant that had this lit up shelf of vases. And I took a picture of it. Which I thought is pretty good. Not bad. I did also take this picture, which I think is bad. I think it's really bad. This was the last photo I took before I put my camera away and decided, fuck it, I am going to binge watch all the things I've downloaded onto my iPad and phone. Well, 6 a.m. finally came, and it was time to board the plane. After what seemed like an eternity waiting in line, being told that they had to kick some people off, I finally boarded. And I sat down and I didn't fall asleep because God hates me. I also can't sleep on planes. That's another thing, but I think God hates me. And finally, after about 6 hours of flight, I landed down in San Diego, and I had a couple minutes to spare. So I got my luggage and waited for my friend, and I snapped this photo of a plane model in San Diego airport. So my friend Natalie picked me up in her sweet Audi, and we jetted off to her apartment. She dropped me off at her place and let me crash in her bed while she went and took a practice LSAT. I thought I was gonna stay up and just power through until we go out that night and party. I was wrong. I fell asleep. It's a mood. The rest of the day we spent drinking and then going out to a bar. I didn't really take a lot of videos of that, although my friend did take a video of me singing Mr. Brightside during karaoke, which I refused to watch, but here's a snippet of it. And I continued to drink, getting more and more drunk. So much so that I had a hangover the next day. But my friends wanted to bring me to a nice place, so me and Natalie hopped in our car and went to Sunset Cliffs. Honestly, going to Sunset Cliffs is when I really started to take more photos during my stay. Beautiful place. Really gorgeous place to go if you're ever in San Diego. Also, there's a guy that was doing like gainers off of the cliff into the water in front of this group of girls. And I wanted to try and catch him mid-flip, but I kind of did. Wasn't really framed up right though. I don't really like the look of HP5 Plus when it's pushed here. The way it rendered the sky, I don't know, it isn't vibing with me. And as my friend says, a lot of grain. She's got beef with it. But there were a couple of HP5 Plus photos that I liked. Like this one of my friend Natalie walking up a cliff. And this shot of landscape and the sea in the background. I thought those were cool. The roll of Ectar, though, really blew me away with how it rendered the colors. They're really, like, saturated. The sand, the sky, so good. So good. You know, I didn't really think that the XA2 would be a really good camera, but honestly, this camera took some of my favorite shots of the entire trip. Like, look at these landscapes. I know it's just, like, beach and sea, but damn, I didn't expect the XA2 to take these photos, honestly. And this photo of the seagulls, personally, probably my favorite of the day and even the trip. Look at that little guy. EJ chillin'. I feel like it's kind of hard to take a bad photo at Sunset Cliffs, but I did succeed at that a lot, mostly because I think I underexposed some shots a bit and the focus was off on a few. But hey, there's a lot of good things there. The cliffs and the coast just provide a natural leading line that guides viewers' eyes. And there's just a lot of interesting things in the landscape, like this rock in the middle of the ocean, or like the cliffs that were there, that kind of formed like a natural cave. Alright, day 3 of my San Diego trip was spent in Coronado, which I'm told was the most expensive and richest part of San Diego. And yeah, I could tell. That's the type of place that like to remind me that I am pretty much lower middle class. I finally finished a roll of HP5 Plus that was in my Pentax K1000, so I threw in a roll of Retrochrome, which this is honestly the first slide film I've ever shot, and I think that was kind of a bad choice for the first roll of slide film that I've shot, because I know it's not like regular slide film. It has the aesthetic and grain like it was aged in someone's asshole, which means it's retro. But, you know, I like retro things, which is kind of the reason why I'm rocking all these cameras that were made before I was born. So I threw that into my Pentax K1000, I kept rocking with a Kodak Gold in my Mamiya 645 and the Ectar in my XA2, and we went off to Coronado. I wish that car wasn't at the bottom of the frame, because I am part of that school of thought where I don't really want cars, modern cars, to be in my photos, because I feel like it just dates the photo and it takes people out of the viewing experience. That sounds very pretentious. But I don't know, I feel like the image would be better without that pickup truck in the bottom right. Also, hey, just found out that the Sony a7 III only takes continuous video for about 29 minutes. Okay, take 2 recording. My Mamiya 645 also has this problem where the mirror sometimes doesn't close after you take a photo, so you have to take another photo to slam it back down, which resulted in this really cool multiple exposure. There's like 4 photos in this, and honestly, it looks cool no matter how you orient it. And to round out the roll of Kodak Gold I had in my Mamiya 645, I took this photo of this baby on the beach running towards their father, which I thought was really cute. My friend Ames would say kinda creepy, but I thought it was a cute moment, and I took a photo of it. I also like how the water's reflecting on the beach, on the sand right there. I think that's a nice touch. But anyway, with that roll of Kodak Gold done, I decided to throw in a roll of Portra 400. And I honestly don't really like the photos I took with it. I'm really bad at composing. I'll take a photo thinking it's going to look cool, and then I develop the photos, and they honestly look like trash. Although I kind of like this photo of this dude walking between the 2 palm trees. I think it's pretty nice. After walking along the beach for a while, we made our way to Hotel del Coronado, which was a bit further down on the beach. And we met up with Natalie's roommate Rachel and Daisy. We decided to have lunch at the hotel's restaurant and had a very expensive lunch where the drinks were like $27. But we had a nice view. I also took the same shot of my friend Natalie on the 645 with Portra 400 and on Ektar on the XA2. Don't know which I like more though. After said expensive meal, we made our way to the bar and waited for Natalie's friend Brent to show up. And I took this photo of a chair because I thought it would be nice. My Pentax K1000 also had a roll of retrochrome that I popped in there earlier in the day, and I decided to take a couple shots. And honestly, it was kind of overcast, so I wasn't really digging these shots that I took that day. Mostly due to the lighting, and then mostly because I can't compose a shot for shit. I do like the shot of a couple in red holding hands before they cross the street, but I kind of wish it wasn't as grainy or faded. I kind of wish I shot this on a different film stock. After we got back from Coronado, we decided that we would hit a couple bars, get some food, and then hit a couple more bars. And that night really was my progression into being absolutely shit-faced. I got way more drunk than I intended, I got way more drunk than I ever anticipated, and I managed to take a couple of photos. Really only 4. The first is of Brett at this barcade we went to called Coin Op. After we went to Coin Op, we decided to go to the bar that Natalie's roommate Rachel is a cocktail waitress at. And it's there where we decided to get absolutely obliterated. Or at least I did. Mistake. This is a photo I took that kind of accurately represents how drunk I was. Everything's kind of blurry, there's kind of multiple of everything, and it's disorienting. After a while though, I made my way to the bar downstairs because I was getting a little socially anxious, and I sat down at the bar. Soon after, this guy came up to me, noticed the shirt I was wearing that said trans rights or human rights, and complimented it. And we struck up a pretty nice conversation. Him and the woman he was with were pretty nice. So, Daniel and Aaron, shout out to both of you. And me being drunk, and way more social than I ever actually am, I asked if I could take their portrait. And they said yes, so I took this photo of them. But by that time, it was closing time. So, we all got up, walked to Rachel's car, and got in and got home. And here is a photo I took of us walking back to the car. Great photo, as you can see. Now, since we got extremely drunk, I woke up the next morning with the worst hangover I've ever felt in my life. It was so bad I couldn't even get off the couch that I was crashing on. So, Natalie, Brent, and Rachel went to boozy brunch without me, and I stayed on the couch like a convalescent. I did have Daisy next to me to keep me company though, so that was nice. And after my friends got back from brunch, filled with mimosas, they asked me if I would like to go to the pool. But I was still pretty much hungover, but I thought that going down to the pool might help. Maybe swimming a bit, maybe chilling in the hot tub, so I said why not. And I went downstairs. I did bring my XA2 that was still loaded with Ektar, so while I was down there, I took a photo of the pool. And I think the photo gods are trying to tell me no free feet, because after I developed the photos, I noticed that there was a line across my feet, so hey, if you want that, I guess you're gonna have to sub to my OnlyFans. That I don't have. Soon after that, Brent left, and the rest of the night was spent getting drunk, eating sushi, and watching Mamma Mia. And I can't say no to Mamma Mia, because I love Colin Firth. The next day, we didn't really have plans until later, so we spent most of the day lounging by the pool. I brought my Pentax that was still loaded with the retrochrome, and honestly, these lighting conditions were better than the previous outing with the retrochrome that I had. It was sunnier, the colors were nicer, and hey, I like these shots better. In these conditions, I do like how grainy and faded the film looks. I think that it just doesn't really work well in overcast. Someone else could probably utilize retrochrome in overcast weather better than I can. And after the day at the pool, we had reservations to go to a speakeasy in the back of a restaurant. Well, actually, it was behind a wall of kegs, which then led to a room full of mirrors, which then led to a door disguised as a fridge, which then led to a weird room that had a toilet and a sink on the ceiling. And then you push through another set of doors and you're in this really cool speakeasy, which I hope I took video of. I can't remember. And Rachel. And the speakeasy was pretty cool too. It was kind of like this 3-course tasting menu thing where you told the bartender what kind of tastes you like for your appetizer, main course, and dessert. I told our bartender, who Rachel and Natalie actually knew and were friends with, that I liked whiskey. So I'd like to have those two as my appetizer and my main. And then for my dessert, something blueberry, because, I don't know, a bitch loves a blueberry. The appetizer and the main drink were okay, but good God, that blueberry dessert cocktail that I had was probably the tastiest thing I've ever drank, alcohol or not. Spencer, if you're watching this, I need that recipe, dude. I need to know what was in it. Please. Thanks, dude. And after those 3 drinks, the complimentary champagne and birthday shots they gave us, I realized I was way more drunk than I intended. Which is a reoccurring theme. We then got food in the main restaurant and sped home. Which brought us to the next day, which was actually Natalie's birthday. And we had a lot of plans, which, in this order, was get some food, get some drinks, go watch the Padres versus the Mets, ditch that 20 minutes into it to go to a fancy-ass steak dinner, and then after the steak dinner, go back to the bar where Rachel's a cocktail waitress and just have a bunch of drinks and hang out. So, I brought my Pentax K1000 that I loaded with T-Max 400, and I brought my Mamiya 645 that still had that roll of Portra 400 in it. No pushing on this roll of T-Max, though. Didn't want to do that. I definitely tried my hand at a little bit of street photography, and it didn't really turn out the way I wanted to. This photo sucks. And this photo of the parking garage is just okay. It's nothing to write home about. While at the bar, I did take a couple portraits of the people I was with. Like Natalie, Rachel, and their friend Kayla, who I met earlier that day. There was also a guy that kept buying us drinks from across the bar. His name was Nixon, so he came over and I took a picture of him, Kayla, and Rachel. I took a photo of our bartender Phil, who, later on the night when we were hanging out after the steak dinner, told me that, hey, if you're gonna pick up a guy, don't grab his ass or his dick. What you need to do is pinch his nipples. Because apparently that's just weird enough for a guy to double take and ask you what the fuck just happened, but be intrigued. I don't know if that'll work on every dude. Maybe that just works on Phil, and he's actually telling me how to pick him up, because maybe he's into me. I doubt it. We then headed over to the stadium and got to our seats for the baseball game, where we stayed for a grand total of about 20 minutes before dipping out. I tried to take some cool photos, but a lot of them I didn't really like. I did take this one. I think that's okay. I kind of like it. And that was honestly the last photo I took of that night, because after that, we all went to a steak dinner and then back to the bar, and I didn't want to lug my cameras around at that point, in case I was getting drunk again. Although I probably should have, because I didn't really get drunk that night. The next day was my last day in San Diego, and I still had the roll of T-Max and the roll of Portra 400 to kill before I got on the plane, so me and Natalie decided to walk around her apartment complex to try and kill the last of the 2 rolls. We made our way to the courtyard, which we could look into from her balcony, and I took a couple of photos there. Including one of this palm tree, where I accidentally took a photo of a girl walking her dog. She definitely thought I was taking a picture of her, so I awkwardly waved for her to walk by, and took another. Social anxiety aside, I kind of like this photo. There was also this weird, stone pillar structure in the middle of this courtyard that I took a photo of that I think is pretty cool too. We made our way back to Natalie's apartment so I could gather my stuff, and I took a couple of photos around there as well before I left. I'm kind of disappointed with the last of the T-Max roll because a lot of it was shot while we were on the road to the airport, and I was just kind of burning through this roll so I didn't have to send it through the X-ray machine. Because even though these film stocks were under 800 ISO and they would totally be fine going through, I don't know, I was kind of superstitious, so I burned through them. I took a photo of this lady, and I think her daughter's sitting outside of the airport, and I wish I framed it better. I kind of just turned, saw it, and took a picture of it, and I don't know, I really need to learn to slow down and to think about my shot and compose before I press the shutter button. Oh well. I also took a photo of this weird, like, gate fence thing that was on the wall, and I don't know. I wish I composed it better too, but I kind of like how messed up it looks, because it was the end of the roll, and all the water that was drawing off of the roll kind of pooled there and kind of messed it up. Speaking of not wanting to send a roll through the x-ray machine, I totally did that with this roll of Portrait 400. I took a photo of the airport lobby right before the TSA line, and then I said, fuck it, you know what, I'm not wasting 3 shots here, so it's just going through, and if it gets fogged, it gets fogged. I doubt it, though. And my doubt was correct. Anyways, at the gate, I took a picture of these seats and the windows behind it before realizing, hey, I'm dumb. I could probably just take a better photo if I sat in those seats facing the tarmac and took a picture outside the window. So, I did that. But I felt bad because as I was getting up, this dude sat down next to me and asked me if there were any delays on the flight back to Newark, and I said no, before waiting an extra 5 minutes to make sure this dude didn't think I was getting up because of him. And yeah, gotta say, not really a fan of this photo. It is what it is. It's just the tarmac. I wish there was like a plane in front, but yeah, no, nothing. I gotta be honest, I kind of don't like a lot of the photos that I took during this trip, but I kind of chalk that up to me still being a relatively new photographer. I've only been shooting for like 1.5 years, 2 years, and I still have a lot to learn about composition, I think that's it, but composition and in general photography, you know. Plus I don't really shoot as often as I'd like because film prices are fucking high right now and I don't really have a lot of money to spend. And after this trip, I have a lot of credit card debt. Well, not really because of this trip. I'm just a very bad spender in general, but yeah. And I know I'm being hard on myself, but this video didn't really turn out the way I wanted it to. Mostly because I was hungover for a lot of this trip and I didn't get out and shoot as much as I wanted. I brought 10 rolls of film and I only really ended up shooting maybe 5 or 6 of it. And I really wanted to try and shoot all of it. But hey, those are things to look out for when I go on another trip. Or make another video. So that's fine. But yeah. I guess that's it. Thanks for watching. Is that where I say all the things YouTubers say? Hey guys, if you like this video, leave a like. If you like some of these photos, comment. Or if you hated the photos, comment. But hey, if you like this video, consider hitting the subscribe button and hitting that bell because I'm probably gonna make more of these videos in the future. Hopefully they'll be better. And if you feel so inclined to, share it with your friends, your family, your rabbi, your priest. Maybe not your rabbi and priest. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. But all I know is I've been Mark, aka Xander is fake, and I got 3 things left to say. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. So until then, I'll leave you with this. Goodbye, and thanks for watching. Flight was canceled. I did what I thought would be a good idea, and I loaded my Pentax camera. I popped a roll of I popped a roll of HP5 Plus into my K. Good God, sir. This is gonna be a great video. And we decided, and we continued on. This is the one. And I also popped a boner. I also.
I'm so sweaty.
So at Sunset Clips, I continued on with the role of. Speaking is hard. How many times did it take me to say that? Oh my God.